A few days ago, I received a comment that I wanted to respond to. I did a half-hearted job of it in my comment section, but it was 2:30 in the morning and I didn't feel like responding to each and every point he made. I was also a bit rude to begin with, and the argument I used initially was lacking on many fronts. I'm hoping to correct that now. In fact, I'll admit that a day later, I asked for more clarification on his stance, and it turned out to be one of the most frustrating conversations I've ever had. He originally claims that he can destroy atheism using logic, but then refuses to defend any point that would actually refute an atheistic stance. So buckle up as we explore why Nicholas believes atheism is easy to destroy using logic. It's pretty easy to destroy atheism using logic. Occam's razor, what is the simplest answer to this question? Before the Big Bang, how did matter come about to be? Nicholas. You mind if I call you Nick? I'm a lazy prick, so I hope you don't mind me shortening your name. Anyways, I thought you were going to easily destroy atheism using logic. I really don't see how the simplest answer includes an all-powerful, all-knowing, supernatural, invisible being that resides outside of space and time. To me, that seems like an extraordinarily complicated answer if one is looking for a simple answer. You also act as if it's a foregone conclusion that matter had to come from somewhere. It's true that we don't understand how the universe began or whether it even had a beginning, but there are several scientific hypotheses that put forward the idea that the universe has always existed. For example, non-scientific versions of the answer have invoked many gods and have been the basis of all religions and most philosophies since the beginning of recorded time. Now a team of mathematicians from Canada, yay Canada, and Egypt have used cutting-edge scientific theory and a mind-boggling set of equations to work out what preceded the universe in which we live. In very simple terms, they applied the theories of the very small, the world of quantum mechanics, to the whole universe explained by general theory of relativity, and discovered the universe basically goes through 4 different phases. More importantly, discovered what came before this universe was another universe, or more accurately, another cosmological phase. Despite being infinite in size, our universe is cyclical and has always existed in one of 4 stages. The universe is expanding and the expansion is speeding up, but the team believes that certain modifications motivated by quantum mechanics will ultimately halt the expansion and pull the whole lot back to a near infinite point, at which stage the universe will start expanding again. So, as you can see, here's one such model that predicts mathematically that the universe has always existed in one of 4 stages. And here's another. I'll leave the link in the description box in case you're curious. I also want to point out that Nick later clarifies by saying that he feels as if he was either created by something or that reality was created for his benefit. Sorry, Nick, feels is not a good foundation for an argument, and to actually refute atheism with logic, as you claim to be able to do, you will need to demonstrate that there is a God. That's the only question that atheism addresses. You've invalidated your initial claim by saying that whatever this creator is might not even be classified as a God. You don't clarify what would qualify something as a deity, and unless it doesn't address atheism, which is a lack of belief in a god or gods. But let's continue with your comment. Atheists would say it was just there, brah. No, Nick. That would depend on the atheist you ask. Many of us will just say, we don't know, which is the truth. I know that's not a satisfying answer, but it's a truthful one nevertheless. Some atheists might say they believe the universe has always existed, and they would have at least some science to back that claim, including what I've shown you here in this video. Others might say they don't care, or that everything began with a singularity, and so forth. But atheism doesn't address such questions at all. It only addresses whether someone believes in a god or not. A scientist would say we don't know. A theist would say it was put there intentionally. So, a scientist would say they don't know, but a theist would assert a claim without any evidence, and because the theist believes that an invisible superpower that resides outside space and time is responsible, it must be correct? You're not making any sense, Nick. I don't know is the truth. The theist's claim is just that, a claim. How is a claim simpler than a non-claim? Why can't you accept that we don't know something? Why must you leap to a conclusion? Out of the 2 definitive answers, which is the simplest? The I don't know answer is the simplest. It just requires that we keep plugging away at the question. Maybe scientists figure it out in the future, and maybe they don't. To assert a supernatural being was responsible for everything is far from a simple answer. If you assert that this being has always existed, you can use that same logic to explain the universe, and do so without the added need for a deity, making that a simpler answer than the one you've attempted to provide. Even using the razor, your argument still fails on every level to explain something like the universe in the simplest of terms. A complex deity only adds more complexity, not less. Sorry kids, stuff is never just there. A child could answer this question. You lose at the scientific method. Good going. Yet to believe in a personal God, you would have to believe that it was just there. You can't even construct a consistent argument, Nick. And as for science, there's a lot more scientific going on in those papers written by scientists that propose a universe that has always existed than is going on in one of the primitive holy books most religions rely on. Even if we address your argument that we're part of some elaborate computer program, you'd have to ask yourself who created the people who created this program, and before you know it, you've run into the wall of infinite regression. Also, this doesn't even get into how you get consciousness out of matter. Many quantum physicists would agree that the universe naturally lends itself to consciousness, that the universe may not even exist without it. Where exactly do you think consciousness arises from, Nick? Some theoretical physicists believe it arises from matter. For example, Tegmark's approach is to think of consciousness as a state of matter, like a solid, a liquid, or a gas. I conjecture that consciousness can be understood as yet another state of matter. Just as there are many types of liquids, there are many types of consciousness, he says. He goes on to show how the particular properties of consciousness might arise from the physical laws that govern our universe, and he explains how these properties allow physicists to reason about the conditions under which consciousness arises, and how we might exploit it to better understand why the world around us appears as it does. I honestly don't see any reason to believe it comes from anything other than natural physical matter, specifically our brains. I mean, you can assert something like the soul, but I don't see what function a soul would fulfill, and I've never seen any convincing evidence for its existence. Just because concepts such as consciousness or how the universe came to be, if it ever came to be in the first place, aren't fully understood, doesn't mean you can just insert a god into that gap of knowledge and think you should be taken seriously. Your entire comment so far has been one big god of the gaps argument, masquerading behind arguments that have nothing to do with atheism, and those arguments certainly don't destroy atheism with logic, as you originally claimed. An atheist would say that consciousness is just a well-developed brain coming to grips with itself. Again, it would depend on the atheist. I hate to repeat myself, but atheism doesn't address consciousness. It only describes an absence of belief in a god or gods. For example, an atheist can believe in something like the soul, and as long as they don't believe in a god, still be an atheist. In fact, I've met atheists who believe in souls, spirits, and even hauntings. Intelligent life is not a normal occurrence. It occurs nowhere else in our fossil record. Well, that depends on what you classify as intelligent. You could say my dog is intelligent. In fact, I've had many people tell me he's super smart. Does that mean he's as smart as your typical human? No, of course not. But that doesn't mean he's not intelligent either. There are animals on our planet now, such as the dolphin, the elephant, and the chimpanzee, which you could rightly say are intelligent animals. But Neanderthals really throw a monkey wrench into your argument. Scientists believe they were as smart as Homo sapiens, and we do have fossil remains. But regardless, even if we were, and are, the smartest animals to ever walk this earth, that does nothing whatsoever to debunk atheism or prove the existence of a god. It also doesn't mean we will always exist or that another species won't take our place in the future, or that they might not even be more intelligent than we are. So for it to be just random occurrence of evolution doesn't add up, as higher intelligence is seen nowhere else is required for a species to survive. So again, science does not weigh in on the atheist side. What are you talking about? In what way is intelligence not seen anywhere else as needed to survive? Do you believe that all animals are just laying around not thinking, or do some animals rely on their instincts and thinking ability to hunt and stay alive? And yes, science neither weighs in or negates the atheist position simply because of the lack, in your eyes anyways, of intelligent life forms on the planet. Again, even if we consider every other animal as completely stupid, that does nothing to disprove my position as an atheist or prove your claim that a god exists, or even a claim such as we're all part of some advanced computer program. That doesn't necessarily mean we aren't part of an elaborate computer program, but like a god, I'll withhold believing that's the case unless you have some compelling evidence to the contrary. But even if we take your claim here at face value, we can see that intelligence is different in different species, but that doesn't necessarily mean we are the smartest animal in all regards. Many animals have skills we can only dream of having, and many of the qualities we have can be seen elsewhere in the animal kingdom. I honestly don't think we're much different than the other species of animals found on planet Earth. In many ways, we're worse. And regardless of what you've heard, the majority of scientists on the planet are not atheists, nor ever have been in recorded history, just like the majority of human beings on the planet are not atheists. Who cares? The majority of people once thought the Earth was flat. Turns out they were wrong. A bunch of people once believed gods resided at the top of Mount Olympus, but when we scaled the mountain, no gods were to be found. The number of people who believe something means nothing when it comes to the validity of the claim. You have evidence for a specific deity. That's what matters if you want to destroy atheism with logic. It is a complete fallacy that atheists have constructed for their own personal comfort, but that is not based in reality. The majority of scientists are at least open to the possibility of God, as the question of God's existence falls well out of their scope at this time. Again, so what? I'm open to the claim as well, but the religious are doing a piss-poor job of providing evidence for their claims. Just because I don't believe them doesn't mean I'm not open to hearing their evidence or even their arguments for their specific deity. The very fact that I'm making this video shows that I'm at least willing to entertain your ideas, and I've made many other videos addressing the claims others have made, including theists. To be an atheist, to deny the existence of something our science has not approached even beginning to tackle yet, is by default not scientific. That's how easy it is to destroy atheism for a novice. Using that logic, I could assert anything that is outside the realms of current scientific research, and you should believe it. There's a lazy-eyed pink dragon that lives outside of space and time, who is also invisible and capable of doing anything, including killing gods. It has murdered all of the human gods already. Do you believe me, Nick? Science can't refute me. It can't even approach being able to tackle this all-powerful pink dragon, so therefore you should just believe me or it will eat your soul after you die. See how silly this argument is? The reason why atheists seem so smug in their intellectual high ground is not all that difficult to pinpoint. This video provides ample evidence for it. Atheism can only produce a victory in a debate when it sets up a false dichotomy diametrically opposed to theism, which of course allows them the easy cop-out of, you're the one making extraordinary claims, so the burden of proof falls on you, assuring that they can't lose even if they don't win. Well, that's because it's true. Theists are the ones making the wild claim. Provide evidence for that claim and I'll believe it. It's really that simple. But when treated as a standalone ideology, without the luxury of this all-important bitch move, atheism is found wanting. Atheism is not an ideology. It describes the stance on one very specific thing, whether you believe in a god. Nothing else, Nick. If you get nothing else from this video, please understand this one thing. There is no system of ideas that atheists must adhere to. There is no dogma involved. Nothing. I just don't believe the claims theists make. Not only do they have absolutely no evidence for their beliefs, it isn't even supported by modern scientific theory. This is the reason why the most intelligent people in the history of the human race have not been atheists, from Sir Isaac Newton to Albert Einstein. Make no mistake, if you're making the adamant claim that something does not exist, you are still subject to providing a basis for your beliefs, even if there is no one on the other side saying that it does exist. Yes, if you make the adamant claim that no God could ever exist, then yes, you could be rightfully asked whether you have any evidence to back that up. It's a positive claim. I'm not claiming that, Nick. I just see no reason to believe in a God, and I've seen no convincing evidence to sway me in the other direction. And on that front, either scientifically or intellectually, an atheist will never really be able to substantiate their claims outside of that's just how they feel about it, which puts them exactly on the same level as a theist to a neutral third party who looks at their beliefs objectively. And on that note, get effing wrecked, cucks. I love how he says it's just how they feel about it, but that was his argument as well in his own words, in his own comment, was that he felt that way. But anyways, Nick, it has nothing to do with feelings. It has everything to do with evidence. You can dance around it all you want, but until you provide some convincing evidence for your claims, I'm not going to believe you. Anyhow, that's it for this video. I don't know what else to really say here. I'm going to go and get wrecked now. Take care and cheers.